Say hello. Hey everybody, I'm Amy. I'm your nonfiction feminist. Here's Amadeus saying hello to the camera and then probably leaving because he doesn't like the camera so much. So today we are doing the reread, rewrite, or burn tag. I initially saw this tag on Books with Emily Fox. I did not see a link in the description, so I'm assuming this might be the original one. If not, please let me know and I will note that in the description. So I have a bunch of books listed in this little Wrigley's box here. I'm going to pick 3 and I have to decide whether I'm rewriting, rereading, or burning the book. So let's pick our first 3 books here. That's 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what do we have? We have The Gunslinger by Stephen King. Alright. Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Oof. And The Light of the Fireflies by Paul Penn. So, The Light of the Fireflies was one that came up on, I think it was Amazon's World Book Day. It was a book that I could get for free. It's similar to Room by Emily Donahue, where you have a kid who's living in, I think, the basement of a house. He's dreaming about going outside, about escaping. Lord of the Rings, which most of you have heard of, high fantasy. I struggle with high fantasy. It is by far not a favorite book of mine, not a favorite series of books. Really struggled with reading it. And Gunslinger by Stephen King. So, I know this is not the most unpopular opinion, so I hope that you all can forgive me. Gunslinger by Stephen King, burning. Burning. That whole series would have been much better off without The Gunslinger. Like, cut that book out, series works fine on its own. I had no idea what was even happening in that book. Like, it was so vague. You don't even know where he is, why he's chasing this person, who these people even are. And then I'm just not into the whole Western sci-fi thing. Sorry, I'm not. Light of the Fireflies, I would totally reread. I might actually reread that later this year. Again, it was very similar to Room. It's a little more of a YA writing style, I think, but it was originally written in Spanish, and they did a really great job with the translation. Translations are always like a little iffy, but I've read some good translations lately. And that leaves Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien will be a rewrite. If I were to rewrite it, I would probably cut out every single chapter that is full of nothing but description. I understand it was a product of the times, people didn't really travel at that point, they want a description of the lands, but at this point, I would cut most of that out. I know the story, but I actually lost track of the story in between all the chapters of what this hill looks like. And it just, it was not, again, high fantasy is not my thing, so it's not really my place to judge it, but I struggled with that one. Alright, next 3 books. We have 1, 2, and 3. And let's see what we have next. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. The Call of the Wild by Jack London. And Girls Made of Snow and Glass by Melissa Bashardoust. Girls Made of Snow and Glass, totally would reread. Not a huge YA reader, but I loved this. It's essentially a Snow White retelling that focuses on the Snow White character and on the evil stepmother character, and I love what they did with the stepmother. They really, Melissa Bashardoust gives her so much depth to her character, like, would reread. Actually hoping to buy that one later this year so I don't have to keep getting it from the library. So, Brave New World, you have, it's sometime in the future, they'll take like a single fertilized egg, I think the idea is, and like split it into 96 different people. Women are really looked down on everyone's kind of got their caste systems. The idea of the book was interesting, but the writing was so tedious for me. I really struggled with that, and then I get to the end and I'm just like, what? Like, the ending made sense for the book, but I'm also just like, it almost felt a little abrupt, but I think it felt abrupt because the rest of the book dragged so much. I felt like I was punishing myself as I read it. Call of the Wild, it's not my least favorite book. Like, I don't love it, not because of the writing or the problems of Jack London or anything like that. I don't love it because the idea of someone stealing one of my pets and taking them off to work themselves to death, that's what gets me. I hate the idea that the man loses his dog, which it's not a spoiler because it happens within like the first chapter or two. So I would burn or rewrite either of them. Ultimately, I think I'm gonna go with burning Brave New World. I'd start from scratch on that one, I think, and rewrite Call of the Wild so the guy can get his dog back at the end and that dog can get some love, because that dog went through a lot. Alright, next three. Let's see what we have here. We have 1, 2, and 3. Alright. 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. Perfume by Patrick Suskind, and Needful Things by Stephen King. I already know what I'm doing for this. Reread Perfume. I loved it. The villain perspective is amazing. Loved it. Needful Things by Stephen King. Rewrite. In this book there's too many characters for me, but I wouldn't really cut anything. I loved the premise, the characters, really, it went well. Until the ending. I didn't love the ending. I understand it's kind of a paranormal, supernatural story, but the ending was like too supernatural for my taste, and I don't think it fit. I would rewrite the ending. Burn 50 Shades of Grey. Always burn 50 Shades of Grey. Leave a comment down in the description if you disagree on this one, or if you want me to make a video on this. I have my reasons. Next 3. We'll see if this one's a little harder than that one was. 1, 2, and 3. Alright. We have Crazy Rich Asians, the whole series. Like I did with Lord of the Rings, it'll be the whole series. Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. And Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. This is hard. I would rewrite all of these. Crazy Rich Asians was alright. I do think there are way too many characters, and I would have loved it more if it was just a single book with all of Astrid's parts. Astrid was the best part of all of that. I actually did not care one bit about the 2 main characters. I just didn't care. They weren't in the book nearly as much as they should have been, considering what the premise of the book was. Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. I actually really liked this, maybe even more than the original one, than Name of the Wind, but I would cut out the whole part about Florian. What was that? Dude, what was that? Florian just needs to go away. Didn't love that part. Portrait of a Lady. I have not actually finished this, but I know how it ends, so I'm counting it in this book tag. Portrait of a Lady, I was struggling a little bit with the writing style. Like, it was fine, but I wanted to make sure that I knew what was going on. So I was reading the Wikipedia synopsis as I went through it to make sure I was keeping track of it. And I'm working on this, but until recently, I spoiled everything for myself. I am trying not to do that anymore, but I spoiled the ending for myself of Portrait of a Lady, and I was so angry that I closed the book, I put it back on its shelf, and I told it to think about it, and think about its ending. And when I come back, it better change its ending, because that was not cool. I mean, I guess I would say I would have to reread Portrait of a Lady, because I really only read the beginning of it, because I got mad at how it ended. So I really should read the entire thing. Um, Rewrite Wise Man's Fear. I would cut out the part about Felurian. There was some stuff that came out of that. At the very least, I would change it up a little bit. I don't know. Rewrite. I'd think of something. And burn Crazy Rich Asians. Which I would... I'd probably want to rewrite it, but, like... By the time I read the third book, there was just so much nastiness from the families that I was just kind of tired of it. Like, the 3 books felt too similar, I think. I don't know. Next 3. Last 3, actually. Take these out. I don't even remember what I wrote on these, so we'll see. Dracula by Bram Stoker. Atonement by Ian McEwan. And The Virgin Suicides by Jeff Eugenides. Reread Dracula. I loved Atonement. I would reread it in a heartbeat. But Dracula is one of my top 2 favorite books ever in the world. So I'd have to reread it. I wouldn't change a single thing about this book. Atonement or The Virgin Suicides. Atonement, I think, would be my rewrite. There were some parts in it when they're talking about the war that just got like a little bit tedious. I still loved it. The writing is gorgeous. Love the twists in that story. But I think I would cut out some of the military stuff. It got a little bit boring. And burn The Virgin Suicides. I don't really want to. I enjoyed it more the second time that I read it than the first because I listened to some podcasts and read some reviews and came to understand the tone of the book and what went on in the book a little better. Although I am someone who likes things to be a little more concrete than this book made it. But it's my last one, so I'm going to have to burn it. So, that was the reread, rewrite, or burn tag. In the comments below, what would you do with these books that I listed? Or what are 3 books that you would use and choose between rewriting, rereading, or burning? And what are your reasons why? So, I will see you next time. I'm hoping to post about once a week, maybe twice. We'll see how much time I have, and right now editing takes a while. So, please like, subscribe, be my friend, or if you don't want to be my friend, you can be friends with my cats too. I have a lot of pictures of my cats on my Instagram. Links for my Goodreads and my Instagram down below. I don't use Twitter. I don't feel that I'm clever enough for those tiny little, those short, funny statements, and I'm not on it. It's not my media. But that's fine, because I'm on Instagram and Goodreads like several times a day, every day. So, have a great time, and see you all in the next video. Cat hair. There is cat hair on my face because I give my kitties way too much love, apparently.